What's up, guys? Dave Palumbo here for another RX Muscle rant. Yeah, I'm sitting in my car. I've been running around doing a million chores today. A lot of aggravating stuff, to be honest with you. I don't really want to go into it right now. That's another rant for sure. I almost feel like the Joker, like, yes! What can we throw at Dave Palumbo today to drive him insane? Nothing can drive me insane because I'm always smiling. You know that. Smiling Jack. No, today's rant is not about the aggravation I'm dealing with. It is dealing with tips. I'm a big believer in tips, number one, because I think that people who work hard, servers and bars and restaurants, deserve to have great tips. People who drive you places, I always give great tips to Uber drivers and stuff like that. But I've noticed that lately, every place you go now has a place to give a tip. If I go to McDonald's and I pick up my food, at the end it asks me if I want to leave a tip. No, I don't want to leave a tip. You didn't bring me the food. I'm picking it up at the counter here. Why would I want to leave a tip? I just left the cleaners, and I love this place. They do a great job dry cleaning my clothes. And it says, would you like to leave a tip? And it shows a 10% tip, a 20% tip, 25% tip, 30%. What am I tipping them for? I dropped my clothes off. They gave me my clothes back. What's the tip for? I don't understand why all of a sudden they have to have a tip, thrown in your face. Because then if you don't give a tip, you look like a cheapo, right? Like, well, maybe I should give a tip because, if I don't, the person working behind the counter might think that I don't think that they're doing a good job. So it's like there's like this underlying level of guilt that they're throwing in your face that if you don't leave a tip, there's something wrong with you. And I'm a big tipper because I do believe in tips, but not everyone should get a tip. I'm sorry. Not everyone gets a tip in life. There are certain people that get tips. And then the irony is you go to a restaurant, I go to a fancy, nice restaurant, and they add the tip in. Yeah, they'll add like 18%. Now, I'm a 25%, 30% tipper. I'm a bigger tipper in restaurants. So then they give you they include it in the bill, and then they ask you, do you want to leave any additional tip? Now, I'm not going to spend this. First of all, I'm insulted that they put the 18% gratuity on the bill already, as if they think that I'm going to walk out of there and not leave a tip for the waiter. So I'm insulted right off the bat at the restaurant, not the waiter. But if I'm the waiter and I see a guy, or someone who's ordering a lot of food, has a big bill, I don't even want to put the tip on there because I want to see what this guy gives me. You know what I mean? I as a waiter would be willing to risk not getting a tip for a large high-end restaurant where they serve a lot of high-end meals and where the bill's going to be well over $200 every time you go in there, if not a lot more than that. I would be willing that most people who have money and who can afford to tip will leave a good tip. Because if you put the 18% gratuity on there, I don't want to give you any more. Because I don't have to sit down and figure out what the difference is between the 30% or 25% I would have left versus the 18% they charge me. Too much work for me. I don't want to do it, and I'm insulted that you would think that I wouldn't even leave enough of a tip. So a lot of times I don't even add any more in. But if I particularly like the waiter, I'll take cash out of my wallet and I'll give it to him. And I'll say, you know what? This is a crappy, policy this restaurant has because it's costing you, you're a great waiter, it's costing you tips. He's like, I know, but I can't help it. And, that's the way they do things. It's stupid. So the places that shouldn't be asking for tips, like the dry cleaners, they're asking for tips. And they're not adding it onto the bill. And the places that shouldn't be adding it onto the bill, they're adding it onto the bill and costing the waiters tips. So we got it all, guys, we got it all backwards here in this country. Australia, you don't even leave tips. They just pay the waiters they pay them like $30 an hour. So they don't have to worry about tips. I went to Australia a few years back, about 10 years ago, and I left a 25% tip after I got out of the restaurant. This waitress, I thought she thought I wanted to marry her. She was so happy, and I asked Lee Priest. I said, Lee, why was the waitress so happy I left her 25% tip? He goes, because no one tips here. I said, what do you mean no one tips here? He goes, no, they pay the waiters and waitresses very high amounts of money so that this tips are negligible. There's no tips. You only tip in a very, very special situation. So I don't know if that's better or worse, because I would think that it would make waiters and waitresses not really work that hard. They would just do the bare minimum because if I want to get a great tip, I'm going to be a great waiter, right? And I'm going to go above and beyond, and I'm going to make sure the customer's happy. So I like tipping, but I think that number one, don't include any tips on the bill. Let the waiter earn the tip or the waitress earn the tip, and stop including the asking for tips at places that don't warrant it, like the supermarket and the dry cleaners and the pet store. You're not getting a tip. It's just annoying to people, and they don't want to deal with it. And we shouldn't have to deal with the guilt of it. So, on my aggravating Thursday, woo-hoo-hoo, Joker, you got to be the Joker. You got to let out all that emotional energy inside and all that stress and anxiety, because life is not that important to get upset about things. And guys, let's fix the tipping problem here. Dave Palumbo with an RX Muscle rant.